Hey guys, welcome to Baking and Books. My name is Lexi and I'm an amateur baker who loves to read. So each week I post videos of myself attempting to bake something new while also talking about a book that I have recently read or just really love. Today I'm going to be trying to make a honey wheat bread, which is exciting because I have not made bread before, so fingers crossed. And we're going to be talking about Homework by Julie Andrews. Now, if you watched my video on her first book, which is just called Home, then you're definitely ready for this one. I would say you could probably watch this video without having watched the other one or read the other book, but it would probably be more enjoyable if you read that book or watch that video first, and I'll try to remember to link that below. So we're going to get into basically her work life. We did all of her personal life, her growing up stories in the book Home, but now we're going into Homework, so it's all about how she joined into the Hollywood stuff and really got started being the famous Julie Andrews that we all know and love so much. Also, I'm recording on a new system thanks to my fiance. He got me a fun new camera for my birthday, so we're trying it out for the first time, and I won't really know how everything turns out or what I need to do better until I edit it, so if there's some weird stuff, you'll know why. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we're going to start with a summary or synopsis of the book. Basically, we left off when Julie Andrews had just been offered the role of Mary Poppins, and she and her husband are going to fly to California and get life started as these new Hollywood, California people. So we basically start off with Mary Poppins and like all the fun behind the scenes film secrets. That was honestly my favorite part of the whole thing, that we got to learn all these different secrets of how they did stuff. Because remember, like, this was still really early on, and you know, Hollywood was not what it is today, where there's a bunch of different technology-based ways to do different scenes. So that was really fun. And of course we move on to things like Sound of Music, all the incredible people she got to meet along the way, not to mention bonding more with her stepchildren, her new husband, adopting kids, continuing to build her relationship with her own daughter, and all the way through these many years and all the different things that she did. So it's a really fun look into her life and her career, basically. I mean, she already had a career because remember, she was on Broadway, she was on the West End. Like, that's what she was originally known for, was being in theater and being a performer that way. But this is her opportunity to get started into the Hollywood world. So it's sort of just a different career path for her. If you read the first book and you enjoyed it, then the second book is your obvious next step. It was really fun to learn about all these different things that not only happened in her life, but in her career as well. So I would definitely say that if you're a Julie Andrews fan, and especially if you read the first book, definitely you want to read this book. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the synopsis. So from here on out, I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into the book. So if you don't want spoilers, skip forward until you see no more spoilers, and then you can just see how the bread came out. But if you have already read this book or you just don't care about spoilers, then stay with me. I'm in the process of mixing up my dry ingredients, and I don't have like an actual nice mixer, so I'm not sure yet if I'm going to do all of this by hand or if I'm going to try to get out my baby mixer. We'll see when we get there. So it will be an adventurous road, I'm sure. So go ahead and stick with me if you don't mind spoilers, and we'll get deeper into the book. Okay, so like I said a little bit in the synopsis, one of my favorite things about this book was that we got to go and get all these different secrets from these huge movies that she was in that we all know her from, like Sound of Music and Mary Poppins. Now, I'll be honest, and because I don't remember if I said this in the last video or not, I wasn't a huge Mary Poppins fan growing up. Like, I've seen it plenty of times, like I know the story, but it just wasn't really my thing. I'm not sure why, but it just really wasn't. But Sound of Music was a big deal for me. So it was really cool to hear about all those different things. That's honestly one of my favorite things about like behind the scenes stuff in movies in general, is getting to see like how they did everything. And I think it was really cool. I think it was like extra interesting because like I said before, it was a different time. So that the way that they did stuff was just very different. And you know, you didn't have like all this different CGI that we're so used to and all of that stuff. I mean, you did in a sense, but not in the same way, like I said, that we're used to it. So it was really interesting to see how they did stuff when they didn't have access to the same technology that we do nowadays. But like I said, one of my all-time favorite like childhood memories comes from watching Sound of Music so much growing up. And it was just amazing to hear all the different stories about it and to think about all the different things that they got to do, but also all the obstacles that came up in their way, like while they were trying to film. I mean, it's just crazy to think of all of that different stuff that we just don't know about, you know, which I think is what's so fun about learning secrets of film, is just that like you have no idea how much goes into it because you only see the finished product. So it was cool to get a behind the scenes look at that. And I mean, I just love Sound of Music. Like, forgive my rant, but just the music, and the music itself is just amazing. The characters, the story, I mean, it's all just absolutely amazing. I would love to go and see like the original house and see some of the filming locations. That would be amazing. Okay, here we go. Trying to make a little hole here. I'm supposed to make a hole in my dry ingredients that I pour my wet ingredients into. Here we go. Okay, mix together until doughy. Will do. In the meantime, one of the things that I loved to read about was all the incredible people she got to meet. And I know we talked about this a little bit in the last book, but I mean, she really did live at just such an incredible time. I mean, I know there were difficulties, obviously. There's difficulties in any lifetime. But she just got to meet so many incredible, legendary people. Honestly, I would love to be able to say the same. Like, I would love to be able to look back and be like, wow, you met such incredible, legendary people, and you didn't really know it at the time. I mean, some people she did know were incredible and legendary. Like Rodgers and Hammerstein, obviously, huge classics. Cole Porter, amazing. But then some of these people she met and worked with, like, she knew they were talented, but she didn't realize just how big they were going to be and how big she was going to be at the time. Okay, I think my dough is a little sticky, so I'm going to have to add some flour to my work surface. Oh, no! Okay, somehow my wet ingredients... Oh, I forgot this has a hole in it. Okay, so my wet ingredients kind of just like spilled all over the place. So I'm going to clean that up really quick. Hold that thought. Okay, let's try this again. One of the things I liked reading about too was just like the personal life stuff. Like, I love that she gets called out by her stepdaughter, Jenny, for swearing. I think mostly because I love the idea of Julie Andrews swearing. Like, people always say, oh, you know, swearing isn't ladylike, and it isn't nice and proper. But, like, fucking Julie Andrews swore, okay? And if there's anybody that is proper, it is Julie Andrews. So it's like, I don't really want to hear it from you anymore. I will swear all I want, because Julie Andrews said I could. And that's that. Oh gosh, yeah, this dough is so sticky. We gotta knead it, which I don't really know what that means. When was the last time I had to knead something? I don't know, you guys will probably remember more than I do. But I definitely had to knead something a while back, and I was like, how do you even do that? Oh, I think it was for the first scones that I made. Yeah, I should have definitely put more flour on my hands first. Okay, well, this bag is probably gonna be empty by the time we get there, so sorry, bag. I do also appreciate that I feel like there were multiple times in both books where you kind of got to look at how, you know, she's pretty, like, woke, if you want to use that word. Like, you can tell that she learned as she went, like, as she was aging and as she learned about different cultures and different people. You know, you could tell that she was trying really hard to understand her privilege and to, like, be a better person. And I don't think you can say that about a lot of people. Like, I mean, I don't mean it in a rude way, but, like, I don't think you can say that about a lot of people in her generation or in the generation following her. Now, you may disagree, and that's fine, but I just think that a lot of people are not willing to change. Like, they are just not willing to change their mind about anything. Jeez, this is, like, way too sticky. What in the world is going on? This could be our first disaster. Aside from the spill that I made a little bit ago. And I wrote down that I think it was when she was in Vietnam visiting, and she was with Mike, and I wrote down, you know, one of the things he said was just a reminder, I guess, really. It wasn't like I didn't get the actual quote, but it was basically a reminder to her that you can only do what you can do. You know, like things are not going to change overnight. But if you have the time to donate or the money to donate or the ability to spread education on certain subjects, you know, like that's, I think if everybody does a little bit, that can be a huge impact. And I think it's hard because sometimes we just want things to be fixed so quickly. We just want everything to be, you know, right. We want everybody to be safe and have this good, happy life. But I think it just doesn't always end up that way. And I think Mike's conversation with Julie was a good reminder that you can't always have everything that you want. We're almost ready. I have to like coat this with oil, and then I'm gonna throw this in here after I just washed my hands. Oh gosh, I feel like it's still way too sticky. But like, I added so much flour. I just feel like I don't want to add too much and then not have like a good outcome because I was trying too hard to add too much flour. So we're just gonna do our best at this time. I'm gonna try to scrape it off the countertops too, which will be an interesting cleaning process. That's a me problem. Don't worry about it. You don't have to watch that. All right, we're gonna cover this up with plastic wrap, and I'm gonna do it over here. And then it has to sit for 2 hours to raise. So, okay. All right, cover her all up here. Put her here, out of the way. All right, has to sit for 2 hours, so be right back. Okay, so now that our bread has spent 2 hours rising, we are going to take it out and hopefully put it into, oh gosh, it's so sticky. Hopefully we'll be able to separate it into the little loaves that it wants me to. So let's give it a try. Oh man, I don't know, you guys. This is still really sticky. I just feel like, I mean, it definitely rose, like, but I don't know, I just feel like it's not gonna go well. Well, the last thing I was really going to say about Julie Andrews' book was just that, you know, while she was wrapping things up, I think it was just always a reminder to work hard, you know, like even when things don't always go the way you might want them to, and just being able to work hard and be kind to people, I feel like is a huge asset to anybody's career, regardless of what your career is. You know, I feel like when you're kind and you're willing to work hard, I feel like people are more apt to give you the respect that you need or want. And I feel like that's something that, you know, she talks about was just, you gotta work hard and you gotta be willing to work your way to the top, which, you know, or work your way to wherever you want to go. It doesn't necessarily have to be like the top, but just wherever you want to be in life, you know, you got to work your way to do that. Now, the only thing I would say that I was disappointed about in the book, which is a silly thing, but if you know, you know, and you'll understand. I was slightly disappointed that we didn't get to hear anything about Princess Diaries, because we didn't, and that's very disappointing to me. As a huge lover of Princess Diaries, I was very much hoping that we would get sort of the same thing we got with, you know, some of the other movies. Like a little look into it, or at the very least, a mention of it would have been good too. But I suppose you can't have everything that you want in life, you know? Alright, so these have to rise for 30 more minutes. I don't know. I'm worried that they're so sticky still. Like, my instructions even said you could cut little slits into them. You know how bread has those cute little diagonal slashes in them? It said that I could do that at this stage, but I mean, it would make no difference with how sticky these are. So I'm a little bit concerned that I maybe did something wrong, or I should have added a ton more flour. I don't know. I tried to follow the ingredients as best I can, like I always do, but we'll see. I'm gonna let them rise for 30 more minutes. So hopefully after they rise for 30 more minutes and we bake them, they'll still turn out okay. I mean, who knows, right? Like, that's part of the learning experience. This is my first time making bread, so we'll see. Okay, so they did their final 30 minutes. They're huge, and hold on, there you go. And kind of ugly because I don't really have anything to like nicely shape them, but they're bread, so I feel like bread doesn't really have to be super attractive. At this point, I'm just hoping it tastes good. So it's about to go in the oven for about 30 minutes, and let's just all cross our fingers. Okay, if you left because of spoilers, go ahead and come back and join us. Our bread got put together and went in the oven and came out, and actually it does look like bread. I mean, it's ugly because I couldn't really form it well, but it does look like bread. I'm gonna put one on this plate so that we can get like a closer look. They're still pretty warm. Here is our bread. You can see a nice close-up here. It feels pretty good. So my biggest concern right now is obviously what happened to it when it went into the oven and baked. Because what you missed if you were not with us is that it stayed pretty sticky. Regardless of how much flour I put on it or how much I kneaded it, it stayed sticky. And even after it had risen for 2 hours and then risen for an extra 30 minutes, it was still pretty sticky. So my concern, of course, was that the inside will not be what we want it to be. But we won't know unless we cut it open and find out. Okay, well, let me give you a look at the inside. It's definitely cooling, but so you can see that it looks pretty good. It's definitely not as firm as a lot of bread is, but maybe that's the honey wheat portion of it. I don't really know. Obviously, this is the first bread I have ever made, so I'm not really sure. But I know that a lot of bread has like a more, I guess, crumble when you like tear it apart. So I'm not really sure how soft the inside is supposed to be. I like soft bread, but that's just me. So I'm gonna try to cut off like a small piece to taste. It's still pretty warm, so I'm trying not to burn myself, but it tastes pretty good. I'm not sure. I mean, I guess you can kind of taste the like honey wheat portion of it. It's pretty chewy, and I'm wondering if that's just because it didn't really get baked all the way. That's possible. I mean, I put it in for the 30 minutes that I was supposed to, but maybe because it was really sticky going in, it needed longer amounts of time. I'm not really sure. I'm trying to think of like what they say on baking shows. I mean, the bottom is nice. You can see that. It's got a nice color to it. And it's hard. It's not like, you know, super squishy. So it's really just the middle, but I kind of feel like it's supposed to be that way. Now, this recipe is supposed to be a replica recipe of the honey wheat bread you can get at the Cheesecake Factory. I haven't been to the Cheesecake Factory in a really long time for like dinner. I've picked up cheesecakes in the meantime, but I haven't been for dinner since probably late high school. So I'm not entirely sure what that bread tastes like, which is probably why I'm not 100% sure how it is supposed to taste or whether this was successful. But I would say it was successful because it tastes good, it's edible, they look like bread, and there's plenty of it, so that one recipe made plenty, which is great. And I don't know, yeah, I feel like I'm happy with this. I think this is good. So if you have any other recipes that you'd like me to try, please send them my way. I'm more than happy to give it a go. I mean, I tried something like bread, so we're really getting out of our shell now here. I highly recommend that you read this book. Like I said earlier, if you've read the first one and you enjoyed it, this is your logical next step. If you haven't read either, please let me recommend to you reading Home and then Homework by Julie Andrews. It's a really interesting look into her life and something that if you're a fan of Julie Andrews, you definitely want to do. If you have any other book recommendations, you can send those my way as well. I'm always open to new recommendations. As always, thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch today. I really enjoyed doing this. And like I said, if you have any other recipes you want me to try, I'd be happy to take them. While you're looking for books, see if you can shop local. And if you can't shop local, maybe just rent from your local library because libraries are amazing. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next time.